Let's do this! I'm ready to go, man. I'm lazy. I've been in the couch. I've been doing all that, but I am ready to go. I am excited. I'm looking like a week one dub. It's looking like a week one for me. Week two win, for me. But always gotta have that Sunday and Monday. You never know. And I am going up against the combination of Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill. But I do have a 50-point lead and DeAndre Swift. So hopefully I come away with the W and I go 2-0. But nevertheless, it was an exciting day of football. I have my show doc ready for you guys already. That way you can have something tonight while you're going to bed. When you're, digesting, you still want more football. You got my immediate reactions from the games. Maybe on the way to work on Monday morning, you got a little podcast for you. Here's my immediate takeaways from the game. And, obviously I do this show every day because things change and we want to stay up to date. So even though this is my video that I'm going to title that my week 2 reactions, it's important to stay up to date with everything during the week because so many things could change, especially with some injuries today that we need to keep an eye on that I'm going to talk about a little bit here today, or tonight, because it's 7 o'clock at night. So here we go, guys, right into it. I'm going to go through every single game that we just saw, about what we talked about earlier. I made a lot of predictions this morning. A lot of them were right. A couple of them were wrong that I feel very sad about, very bad about. I know on my TikTok, some guy asked me whether or not to start Mike Gesicki or Tyler Higbee, and I told him Higbee, and then Higbee put up 1.8 points today. So that's sad. And for context, Mike Gesicki put up like 7.6. So it was only a 6-point difference. That guy, if you're listening, I feel like it was more that made you lose than that. But if you lost by 6 points, then that's my fault. I'll take that one, but that happened. So getting right into it because we have so much to go. New Orleans at Carolina. We said earlier that Sam Darnold looks like a starter. He looks like a guy that we want to, that we can trust into our lineup. And today that happened. 26-7, Carolina smashed on New Orleans. And I think at 1.2, there was a part where Taysom Hill was the starter, and I don't remember that I statted him out for this, but I do believe that at one point Taysom Hill was the starter, and it was a lot more back and forth than we were used to seeing or we have seen last week where Jameis Winston was the complete starter. So I think this might be a pump the brakes moment on the New Orleans side of the ball, but at the same exact time, they had 5 to 8 coaches who weren't even on the field. So, when you don't have that many offensive coaches on the field, and, you're trying to do your best, you're trying to, make up for what happened last week, it's tough. So, New Orleans got smashed. Kamara had a bad day. None of the wide receivers put up any more than 6 points. Donald had a great day. CMC is a very good football player. DJ Moore showed up for the DJ Moore owners. And then all of a sudden, Brandon Zylstra out of nowhere had a good day. So he kind of, pushed Robbie Anderson out of the way. I actually dropped Robbie Anderson in my league to pick up somebody else. Oh, because Marquise Brown was dropped. So I picked up Marquise Brown for Robbie Anderson. So Robbie Anderson's one of those guys that I'm willing to dump just to, grab somebody else who's out there. Obviously, we have the waiver show coming on Tuesday. So, going to be a bunch of names on there. I don't think Brandon Zylstra will be on there, but Robbie Anderson will definitely be a drop candidate on that show as well. So Terrence Marshall as well, he got bumped down because of Zylstra getting up on the depth chart and, getting those targets. So Carolina takes it 26-7. Sam Darnold looks pretty good, so let's keep an eye on that. And then we have Cincinnati and Chicago. Chicago just edges out Cincinnati, but Burrow looked really good in this game. Besides his 3 interceptions, he looked good as far as his connections with the wide receivers is what I meant to say. I should have said that first. He had 3 interceptions. He didn't look great, but his connection with the wide receivers looked great. All 3 wide receivers were supported today, and I think that really says something going forward. If you have, all 3 of these wide receivers are, on rosters in every single league. So it's nice to see that all of them are actually performing, and we can be sure that we can put them into our flex spot, when we need to. So that's kind of where they are for me right now. I'm really at a flex level with them. I think I'll still put Higgins at the top and put him at wide receiver 3. But they're really all at flex level for me. But if you have them and you really want to, boom or bust one player, he's right there. But I think this is kind of the ceiling from the majority of the year. One of them might sneak in a 25-point game, but I won't be surprised if this is the common thing where one guy gets 20, the other guy gets 12, and the third guy gets nothing. So keep that in mind if you have those players. Joe Mixon had an off day, but don't worry about it. Happens to the best of them. Moving over to Chicago, we did say on the show earlier that if you have some extra money in daily fantasy and you want to pick up Justin Fields, go ahead and do it. I hope you didn't. He did because he didn't put up many points. But next week, now we can next week, because it looks like Andy Dalton's going to be done for some time. They do not think that it's an ACL injury, but if you're talking ACL injury, then you're going to miss quite a bit of time. So Andy Dalton's likely done for some time. Fields gets the time in the game. Robinson had a disappointing day. Same thing with Montgomery. So the whole game, even though they won the game for fantasy, it was kind of a mess. So they were just scraping to get by. But if Fields comes in, I'm really high on Darnell Mooney. I'm really high on Montgomery. And I'm really high on Allen Robinson. So keep those three guys rolling. Moving over to Houston and Cleveland. Now, I really like the way that Tyrod Taylor played against this Cleveland defense. It is disappointing. Tyrod Taylor was already ruled out for Thursday night's game because of his hamstring injury that he suffered late in the game. So Tyrod Taylor's already ruled out for that game on Thursday. I don't remember who they play, but I did like the way that Tyrod was playing before that. So that running back room over there is an absolute mess. I know Phillip Lindsay got the touchdown. I still don't want any part in it. Brandon Cooks does look like Mr. Consistent this year, though. So if Brandon Cooks, you have him on your roster, I would keep playing him because he does seem like Mr. Reliable, Mr. Consistent on that team, and hopefully that continues with Tyrod Taylor out. So be skeptical coming up to your Thursday game if you're a Brandon Cooks manager. Cleveland takes the game 31-21. I already said that, but Mayfield looked really good. He got injured, so it was kind of a mess for them as well. Chubb had a really good day. Hunt had his fall-off game, but he's still in kind of that flex region where we know he's not going to be a starter. We want to start both of them, but we know that Hunt's in the flex range. Chubb is the number one. And Felton snuck in a touchdown. He's a running back, so he sneaks in the touchdown from the screen route from the outside, and he sneaks in that touchdown, and that's probably Kareem Hunt points that you were supposed to get. Landry goes down. He's going to undergo an MRI tomorrow, and if he does miss time, that wide receiver room is a mess. Now, it's probably going to be Rashad Higgins and Donovan's People-Jones, but I really want to lean the way of Rashad Higgins. I feel like it's probably going to be him, but it really is just a mess. So if you have to take a shot, go ahead and take a shot. If you had to make me pick one, I'd pick Rashad Higgins. So target count's low. I'm really out on them. I really am. So we'll see. Cleveland has to throw the ball to somebody. So if you want to take your shot, go ahead and take your shot. The Rams at Indy. The Rams sneak away with this one, which is great because the Rams are going to be on fire for the rest of the year. I tweeted it out probably right after Cooper Kupp's touchdown that Cooper Kupp is going to be a top 5 wide receiver this year. You are going to see these things continue. You're going to see this trend where he's clearly the most trusted running back on the. He's clearly the most trusted wide receiver on that team. So Matt Stafford loves going to him. He's going to be a top 5 by the end of the year. And Darrell Henderson, he's a number 1. Sony Michel did good. He had 4.6 yards per carry today. But it's nice to see that Darrell Henderson is the for sure number 1 back on this team. It's great to see because I know a lot of people picked up Darrell Henderson kind of free off waivers, and they were hoping they were going to get that, or if you had Cam Akers and then you picked him up like I did, you were hoping you got it, and you did. So he's going to be the number 1 back. Be confident about him going forward. Kupp's the top 5. Woods is also very good. I'm not saying anything bad about Woods, but he is, Kupp's definitely a top 5. What else I got there? Higbee. Oh, yeah, Higbee made you sad. We already talked about that. The guy told to start Higbee over Gesicki. Higbee made you sad, but keep rolling with him. It was just one of those games where he got scripted out. Henderson had a game. Kupp exploded, so it happens. I just realized that there's teams out there that have Kupp and Derrick Henry, and that's crazy. Anyway. Indy side of the ball, Michael Pittman finally emerges. During the offseason, I liked Michael Pittman, but once Wentz came aboard and everything, I was like, I don't want any part in that. I don't want part in the Indy room, but Michael Pittman finally shows up. Michael Pittman's a stud. He's a freak athlete. Kind of reminds me of Mike Williams. So he's going to be a big guy on the waiver wire this week. He put himself on the map and said he's here. He's ready to go. Zach Pascal still gets in that touchdown thread. He's clearly, for some reason, the touchdown guy that Carson Wentz likes at that area. So, he can be rostered, but at the same time, I think that Michael Pittman really showed himself today. And as much as we liked him during the offseason, we didn't expect him to get the work in. Hopefully now is the time for him to shine. Nice to see Indy play like that against the Rams. Nice to see the way that they can actually structure themselves to actually put up a fight against them. Jonathan Taylor and Himes were really kind of out of the game script today, but I do believe that's just because they had to throw the ball and they had to make sure that they were in place to, give them a chance to win. So they were used kind of as accessory pieces. So I don't take too much out of this game, especially since they're playing against the Rams and Aaron Donald and all that. So I don't take too much away from that. I would keep firing up Taylor and Himes just like we were this week before we came in. Denver game, I like Bridgewater. He's played some easier teams, but I do like the way things are looking for him. I do believe he left with an injury too, if I'm remembering correctly. We'll get back to that tomorrow. The wide receivers over there look really promising. Cortland Sutton got peppered in targets. He had a great day even without the touchdown, so he had an insane day. I think he might actually be on some, shorter, leagues, some 8 to 10 leagues. He might be on the waiver wire, so he'd probably be the number one ad this week at waiver wire. So he's the clear number one, which is assumed. Tim Patrick had 4 targets. Hamler had 3 targets, but Tim Patrick got the touchdown. So I feel like that's going to be a lot of the back and forth with that Denver room this year, where you can flip a coin and whatever happens, whoever gets the touchdown gets the touchdown. But they're really in that low target range where I'm not trusting it. I'm not a big fan. I want to go somewhere else. Noah Fant came through with the touchdown, gave you a good tight end week. I expect him to, kind of keep doing that. The RBs did get used in tandems, but the touchdowns went to the wide receivers. So both running backs had an okay day, but they didn't have any touchdowns. All the touchdowns went to the wide receivers, so that's what happens. On the Jacksonville side of the ball, by the way, Denver won this game 23-13. Got to get my structure down. Jacksonville, 13 points in this game. Lawrence and the offense are not looking good. And I said it before the game, I really, really want to see them feature James Robinson and give him the ball 30 times a game. I feel like them not doing that is putting them in a worse spot. They're like forcing Lawrence to throw the ball, and it's making everything worse. I really feel like they have to feed James Robinson, really get that defense to back off first. And I really think that they're underutilizing James Robinson. So if you're a James Robinson manager, I understand your frustration. I really do. I have him, I think, in one league. Oh, no, I traded him for Travis Etienne. But still, he's, it's frustrating because he's one of the better players, and it's weird to not see him get the bulk of the work. So Marvin Jones stays the number one, and besides that, I think I'm out on the other 2. I want them on waivers. I'd rather have somebody else taking up a roster spot, a prospect, something like that. But Marvin Jones is officially the number one on this team for me. Moving on to Buffalo and Miami. This is exactly what we expected. Buffalo to come out super angry. Miami to be super disappointing. We said before the game, don't start anybody on Miami. And nobody on Miami put up more than 9 points. So lots of sadness for Miami. Buffalo side of the ball, complete shutout. They went angry. Stephon Diggs had a good day. I think Allen had an acceptable day. Singletary breaks off a run. Moss has a good day. And I'm not really looking much into the running back room. It's still kind of the same exact thing. I don't expect them to keep having these weeks. I expect it to go back to more passing. Cole Beasley had an okay day, but Emmanuel Sanders also had an okay day. So now we can take a look at Emmanuel Sanders on the waiver wire if we need to, if we need wide receiver help, because it seems like they can be kind of a 2A, 2B situation going on over there. Obviously, Diggs isn't going anywhere. But yeah, Buffalo smashed Miami, and we kind of expect that to happen. New England at the Jets. New England get a division win. As you can see, I'm wearing the Patriots jersey. I'm a Pats fan. Woo woo. So Mac Jones, not really impressed. So Mac Jones doesn't get any points really in fantasy. I think he put up 70 points despite the 25-6 to win. This was all on Dame Harris and James White, and expect this a lot. Expect this going forward a lot with this offense. It goes through James White and Damian Harris. I'm actually going to move up James White quite far in my rankings after this because I think that this could happen quite a bit where you see this, back and forth between them. Jacoby Myers and Nelson Aguilar seem to be the 1 and 2 as far as the wide receivers go, but at the same time, I'm not really wanting to start them. They're very low-end bottle waiver wire guys to me, so not huge on that. So The Jets side of the ball, super equivalent to Miami. They pooped everywhere. It was not great. Braxton Berrios had the best week, so Corey Davis truthers, I told you beware. You know, it's Corey Davis. I don't know what all the fuss was about with Corey Davis. I don't. He was like the wide receiver 3 on Tennessee. So I just don't get it. I like Corey Davis. I think he should be on your roster, but I just don't understand like the wide receiver 1 hype. So anyway, I mean, keep him. Play him as your wide receiver 3, but I have no problem benching Corey Davis. As you can see right here, Braxton Berrios just overtook him. And it's not like a, Julio Jones and, A.J. Brown thing where Julio Jones happened to get the touchdown and stuff. No, it's just, that's the team structure, and that's the Jets, so expect that. So anyway, Zach Wilson throws 4 interceptions. Braxton Berrios squeaked by with a good day, and that was really the only person on the team who did anything worth talking about. San Francisco slips by Philadelphia, and now game of possession really won this game for Philadelphia, San Francisco. So Jalen Hurts managed to squeak by with a good day without even, with only putting up 11 points, but San Francisco completely dominated the ball in this game. Jimmy G showed up. Debo is going over 100 again. Debo, if he can stay healthy, he will be a top 10 wide receiver. So, I think that's kind of, I'm not saying it now. Obviously, we had 2 weeks like this with him, but the way that he's commanding targets on the team, that's top 10 for me. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, well, he put up 20 points, so you can't say he's going to be top 10 now. Well, it's 20 points the way he put up 20 points in 2 weeks, where there's other good wide receivers that are, running good routes. Just Debo's always doing something extra. So that's why I think he's going to be a top 10 wide receiver at the end of the year. He's super deadly after the catch. So if you have Debo Samuel, keep running with him. Ayuk, it's tough, but I think you can drop Ayuk. Yeah, I think you can drop Ayuk. I'm going to put my flag in the ground and say if I was staring at Robbie Anderson on the waiver wires and I had Brandon Ayuk, that's super specific to my league and I didn't mean to. But anyway, but if I'm staring at those 2 people, I'd rather have Brandon Ayuk. I don't want to play this game on my roster. I don't want to wait and see what happens. But, if there's Tim Patrick, I'll probably drop Brandon Ayuk for Tim Patrick because I don't know what's going on here and I don't have time to wait. I'm not waiting on Brandon Ayuk and an offense that's clearly getting, shoveled by Debo Samuel. So it's tough. It's tough. It really is. But this was supposed to be the week where he put up and there was nothing. And I mean, you can wait 1 more week. I'll probably advocate for you to wait 1 more week if you spent a draft pick on him. But if there's somebody out there on the waiver wire that you want to go get, then I'll drop him. So yeah, that's so tough for me. That's so tough, and I want to move on, but it's so tough for me to not drop Ayuk after that game. So it is what it is. If you want to wait 1 more week, it's up to you. Me personally, I'd probably be dropping him for basically anybody else. Elijah Mitchell did not live up to the hype, but he did get the carries, so look for him to still be the starter next week. Jermichael Hasty got the receptions. That's why he finished over him. So stuff like that happens. Vultures happen. It happens. Kittle had a sad day, but it's Kittle, so who cares? Blah, 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 whatever. Jalen Hurts had a great game, especially against that defense. But this game brings super sadness for me. Super, super sadness because much like the James Robinson situation in Jacksonville, except this is much worse with Miles Sanders, and that Miles Sanders he's so good, and even in the plays that I saw today, he looked good. So it's just one of those things where I have no choice now but to move Miles Sanders down my rankings because of coaching. And it bums me out because I had him super high up in my rankings. I think I had him at rank 8 this week for top 10 running backs, So I really feel like he would have blown this game open if they could have gotten him more targets into the game, but it just didn't work out that way. It's unfortunate. Kenneth Gainwell got quite a bit of use on this, and I think that hurt Philadelphia's chances of winning this game. But that's why I do videos and they do coaching, I guess. Quez Watkins had the big catch. He finished with 117 yards. Not much to take away from that game except for the fact that Jalen Hurts seems to like Quez Watkins a lot. So Quez Watkins, Jalen Reagor, Devontae Smith, they can all kind of be rostered at this point just to see what happens because these are the two, it's a good week for Hurts. Even though he got, kind of beat up by that defense, he put up a good, acceptable week. So I'm willing to take a look at Quez Watkins and keep him on my roster if I need somebody. Las Vegas at Pittsburgh. Las Vegas actually impresses in this one, gets the W over Pittsburgh, which is very surprising. They're extremely happy. Derek Carr impresses versus Ruggs and Renfro with good fantasy days and targets, so you can keep an eye on both of those guys. Keep them on your roster. Drake, not a great day, and with Jacobs returning next week, that's it for Drake. And if you picked up Peyton Barber, he was named the starter, and then Drake, obviously, whatever, puts up the game. I still didn't want either one of them in the game. Drake didn't do good. Peyton Barber didn't do good. Drop both of them now because Jacobs is likely back next week. Darren Waller's very good, and I also want to bring up that Foster Moreau vultured a touchdown. So see, it happens to everybody. Even Darren Waller, the great Darren Waller, the massive man Darren Waller gets vultured sometimes. So Foster Moreau jumps in there for a 1 week touchdown. He'll be back in week 12 to do the same exact thing for you, but besides that, there's not much there. That is the 1 o'clock block, and I am right on time to jump into the 4 o'clock block and give myself 10 minutes to wind these down for you guys. Once again, thank you guys for joining me on Fantasy Daily. Check me out on Twitter. Check me out on TikTok. Facebook's kind of lame. You don't really need to check me out on there, but TikTok's probably where I am mostly. If you jump over there, I do highlights, injury reports as they come out. I have all the stuff in my, all the updates that come through my phone. I give you guys the big ones, make sure that you know. And hopefully, and there's been a couple times that I broke news before Bleacher Report and all those guys, so hopefully I can give you the edge. Hopefully there's that one player that, you get to pick up and throw on your roster, and, then Bleacher Report comes out and it's like, oh, how'd you get that guy? And he wins you the week. So hopefully it's just that little edge. That's what fantasy football is all about. It's a game of inches, and so is fantasy football. It's a game of just 1 or 2 people, 1 or 2 points. So make sure you guys stay, up to date with me. Hang out with me. I'm bored. I got no friends. Hang out with me. Moving on, Minnesota, Arizona. What an awesome game. What an awesome 4 p.m. block, actually. I think that was probably the most, gripped I've been to my seat in a while watching those games. Minnesota, Arizona ended the last second. Missed field goal by Minnesota. Kyler Murray balls out. Awesome game. So let's start with the Minnesota side of the ball. They lose by a point, but put up a great game against a great Arizona defense. Cousins had an impressive showing. He had 3 TDs. Cook had a good game despite the 2 injury scares. All held out breath for a second. It is an ankle sprain that Dalvin Cook's dealing with. So they didn't say too much now. I'm waiting on more news to come out and, kind of make like a, official video that says, hey, this is what to expect. But I know personally that ankle sprains are 2 to 4 weeks. So prepare yourself if you're a Dalvin Cook owner, 2 to 4 weeks. Keep an eye on it for the next couple of days. And if they say that it's going to be 2 to 4 weeks, you have to go get Alexander Mattison. Everybody's got to go Alexander Mattison. We've seen it, before where he comes in and he gets the bulk of the work. He's not going to be the full lion's share like Dalvin Cook. We saw that last year too, where when Dalvin Cook missed a game or whatever it was, Alexander Mattison wasn't the just number one, everything goes to you back. So keep that in mind, but we got to keep an eye on the Dalvin Cook situation. KJ Osborne shows up again, which means he's got to be put into the wide receiver, waiver show as well. Because if he has consistency like that in 2 weeks, then that means he's supposed to be part of the game plan. And if you're on Minnesota and you're supposed to be part of the game plan in the passing attack, then I want in on that. So Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, they should still be okay, but I'm still looking at, KJ Osborne, where it's another offense that's emerging with 3 wide receivers that I can trust, that I want to go with. So so that's it on the Minnesota wide receiver side of the ball. Obviously, Dalvin Cook is very, very good. Kyler Murray, he's insane. He is insane, and I can't wait to see everything that happens with this team throughout the next 5-10 years. This is insane the way Kyler Murray plays, and I don't mean to stop to fawn over him right now. Oh, my kitty's sneezing. Kitty, you're interrupting us. Something really got him. Poor kitty cat. Anyway, he's okay. I promise. He's okay. But anyway, where are we? Kyler Murray looks great. I don't mean to fawn over him right now. Rondale Moore explodes in this game, so he's got to be taken a look at. Christian Kirk has a good game, so we got to keep taking a look at him. My poor little kitty over here. He's going to carve up a fur ball or something. Anyway, Murray balls out. Rondale Moore explores. He's gonna be a big name this week on waivers. You got to check out Rondale Moore. Kirk's reliability for him week to week, they'll be okay. They'll be a little bit back and forth, but they're also not going to be every week reliable. I still lean the Kirk side of the ball, but Rondale Moore should definitely be rostered in leagues. Chase Edmonds, let's get into this because I was high on Chase Edmonds going into the game, into the week. I even put him in my lineup over Mike Evans and Mike Williams, so I'm very sad, but I should still get the W. Pray for me tonight. But good games on that. Max Williams all of a sudden emerges as a tight end to keep his eye on. The Vikings hung in there. They really look good. But to see Max Williams emerge as a tight end in a game like that, he's somebody that I want to keep an eye on. Because if he's a tight end on Arizona with Kyler Murray, I want to check that out. Moving on, Atlanta at Tampa Bay. 48-25. Tom Brady is out for blood. Now, Atlanta came back in this game. Matt Ryan falls to streamer category for me. I'm all set on Matt Ryan until you really showed me it. I think losing Julio hurt them more than we think. I really do. Calvin had a good game, and I know they're playing two good defenses, but I think the days of Matt Ryan going crazy are few and far between compared to what it was last year where he's super consistent. So, not that Matt Ryan fallen off. He's still a great quarterback, but I think you're going to be sad quite a bit on some weeks. Same thing with Ryan Tannehill, you know what I mean? So he's kind of in that category for me. So Calvin Ridley had a good day. Cordarrelle Patterson shows up. He's somebody you can keep an eye on. Gage had 7 targets. That made me happy. You guys who watch the show know I love Russell Gage. I've been waiting for it. Pitts showed up. He definitely showed up, returned some value, but I'm still kind of skeptical on that. But if you drafted him, he's definitely your number 1, so that one feels good. Tampa, they're out for blood. Brady had no quit in him. He goes Super Saiyan. He has an insane amount of touchdowns. Again, I think he had 5 today. Gronk, I guess he's going to have 30 touchdowns this year. So we said last week, if you want to pick up and start Gronk, you can. If he's on your roster, definitely keep firing him up. They say that he's going to have another Gronk year this year, like he's vintage Gronk. So we'll see. Keep rolling in it. While it's on fire, stay in the fire. AB disappears, and this one is actually kind of concerning. It brings large concern to me to kind of dial back the week 1 hype that I had on Antonio Brown and that we all had on Antonio Brown. So I'm definitely dialing my expectations back on Antonio Brown, and he's falling back to my flex guy, whereas last week I had him at wide receiver 2 for the rest of the year. So definitely dialing back on AB a little bit, or quite a bit. And the backs, the backs in Tampa Bay or anywhere where Tom Brady is difficult. So I still lean Leonard Fournette. We saw that today, but I really don't want any part in it if I don't have to. So moving on to Dallas and the Chargers. This one was extreme. Right up to the minute, right up to the last minute, Greg Zuerlein bangs that 50-something yard field goal, gives me 5 points in my league. Great success, and wins the game. So that's good, but it is time to be worried about Pollard. And if Pollard's on the waiver wire, it's time to go get him and see that he could be a flex or a deeper wide receiver running back too in some deeper leagues. But if you're a Zeke manager, it's time to be worried right now about this. I would keep starting Zeke, obviously, but this is cause for concern. This is definitely cause for concern, and we'll talk about that more tomorrow on. CD has a good day. Amari has a bad day, but he goes down late as well for an injury, so we got to keep an eye on that. Dalton Schultz and Jarwin are interchangeable, so you can stream them if you need to and you're really hurting. On the Chargers side of the ball, they lost, but Mike Williams explodes. And if you keep up with the show, I was all over Mike Williams all week saying that he's going to have a great game. He's going to have a great game. And then I put him on the bench in exchange for Chase Edmonds because I can't follow my own advice, because that's what fantasy football is. It's just sadness on top of sadness. Not Miami level sadness, because I might get the W, but still sadness. So anyway, Mike Williams had a good day. Keep him going up. Keenan Allen had a great game, especially since he played against Trayvon Diggs. Eckler's the bona fide 1. You love to see it. Drop Justin Jackson. Now I got to fire out the Tennessee and Seattle game, which is a shame because it was a barn burner. And they had last minute kick. Tennessee wins in tremendous fashion. They pull up the upset. Henry Feast. Lockett with a good day. Metcalf had a good day, but his targets went to some guy named Freddie Swain, which is some cable guy that they found. And the kicker on Tennessee was a big part of the day, 15 points. A.J. Brown with a sad day, but keep firing him up. That's all the time I have for tonight, and I'm probably overtime on my podcast, so usually join me on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and hopefully you have that week 1 win. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Yep.